Your brain is not a fixed entity, but a dynamic, living architecture that you are remodeling with every repeated action. A truth that transforms the mundane act of daily routine into a profound exercise in self-creation. We often think of habits as trivial patterns, yet they are the very neural grooves that carve the landscape of our identity and destiny. The science of neuroplasticity reveals that the brain's structure is perpetually shaped by experience, and our most frequent behaviors are the master sculptors of this internal terrain. This is not mere willpower, but a biological process of rewiring, where focused repetition physically alters the connections between neurons, strengthening some pathways while allowing others to fade into disuse. Understanding this process moves habit formation from the realm of self-help slogans into the precise domain of applied neuroscience. At the heart of this rewiring lies a deep brain structure called the basal ganglia, which acts as a powerful habit center. When a behavior is novel, the prefrontal cortex, the seat of conscious decision-making, is intensely engaged. However, with repetition, the brain seeks efficiency and gradually transfers the behavioral sequence to the basal ganglia, which executes it with minimal conscious effort. This transition from deliberate action to automatic routine is the neurological signature of a habit being formed. The synaptic connections involved in that specific sequence become more robust and efficient through a process known as long-term potentiation, a persistent strengthening of synapses based on recent patterns of activity. Simultaneously, through a complementary process of synaptic pruning, connections that are rarely used are weakened and eliminated, reflecting the brain's ruthless optimization of its own resources. This neural efficiency, however, presents a double-edged sword. The very automaticity that makes habits powerful also makes deeply ingrained negative patterns incredibly difficult to break. The pathways for unwanted behaviors, like procrastination or stress-induced snacking, have been carved deep into the neural landscape through countless repetitions. To disrupt these loops, one must engage in a deliberate act of conscious override, creating a new competing pathway. This is where the concept of the habit loop becomes critical. A cue that triggers a routine, which delivers a reward. To build a new, unbreakable habit, one must design this loop with scientific precision. The cue must be clear and consistent. The routine must be simple and actionable, and the reward must be immediately satisfying to the brain's dopamine-driven reinforcement system. This is not about fighting the old habit with brute force, but about outmaneuvering it by laying down a new, more appealing neural track. The most effective strategies for building resilient habits are those that work in harmony with this underlying neurobiology. Habit stacking, for example, leverages an existing solidified neural pathway by attaching a new desired behavior to it, using the established cue as a launchpad. Designing your environment to make the cues for good habits visible and the cues for bad habits invisible directly manipulates the trigger stage of the loop. Furthermore, embracing the principle of never missing twice acknowledges the reality of synaptic pruning. A single slip does not erase a pathway, but consistent absence does. Therefore, the immediate focus after a lapse must be on reactivating the new circuit at the very next opportunity. These are not tricks, but applications of fundamental learning principles, turning your daily environment and schedule into a scaffold for neural growth. Ultimately, the pursuit of building unbreakable habits is a journey of becoming the conscious architect of your own mind. It is the practice of recognizing that you are not a passive passenger to your neurology, but an active participant in its continual reshaping. Every choice to follow through on a small, deliberate action is a vote for the person you wish to become, cast in the currency of synaptic strength. The process is slow and requires patience, for deep neural change does not happen overnight, but each repetition lays another foundational brick in the structure of your future self. You are engaged in the most important project you will ever undertake, the deliberate, scientific, and compassionate construction of a self that can withstand the tests of time and circumstance, one rewired neuron at a time.